Okay. Let me just remove all of these styles. So let's come here to the docs for Bootstrap, and what we need to do is just get the CDN. So let's go to the home page. So there are different ways to bring Bootstrap into your project, but the easiest way is to use the CDN, which is the content delivery network, which I already told you guys about before. So we are just going to copy that, then come here and then paste it. So that's Bootstrap. So let's just comment Bootstrap CSS only, and then we also have JavaScript, because you have to put JavaScript if you have to enjoy the interactivity. I think I showed you why we needed JavaScript, right? You remember?
Yes, sir.
Because of things like the drop down menu, and then the accordions, the pop-ups, and so on. Without JavaScript, you don't have interactivity on your project. So we also want to put in the Bootstrap JavaScript. So we could put it in the head. And when we want JavaScript to be in the head tag, what do we need to do? We need to add an attribute, right? What's that attribute? Defer. So that means,
Defer.
yeah. So even if it's at the top, it's still going to load, last, after everything else has loaded or is loaded. So what we want to do now is let's just create a section. Sorry. So if you're using VS Code, of course, you have access to this. So there's a container class in Bootstrap, and that container class just gives your page margin to the left and right. So let me put an H1 here, and let me say hello. So when we come back here, you can see that we already automatically have a margin. So that margin we have on the left hand side is courtesy of the container class. So if I hover on top of it, you can see we have a margin auto on both sides, and there's a max width of 720 pixels. Can you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
So that's because of Bootstrap, but we are not using container in this case. So we want to be able to replicate that same thing that is happening on front-end mentors. So what we want to do here is let's just create a row. So instead of doing display flex, once you do row in Bootstrap, you can now have you can have something similar to what you would have if you are using a flex box, which is going to divide your page into a grid system. So let me just show you what I mean by that quickly. So I'm going to have row. So to complement the row class is going to be the column class. So let's create a div and say column, and then the column class is works in a certain way that I don't just want to do this and say hello, and then let me just copy this a couple of times. Let's like 3 times. So you can see it already divided into 3 different places. Does that make sense? And then to make that work properly, so let me just add my own custom class, and okay, let's use Bootstrap background class, and let's say BG danger, BG primary, and let's do, remember the BG classes, right? The background classes, BG secondary. You remember those ones? So you can see now that we actually have our screen divided into 3, and with 3 different backgrounds. You get the point? So I could create extra ones, and if you can see it's distributing the sizes equally across several screens. Can you see that? Hello?
Yes, sir. I'm following, sir.
Okay, you guys are with me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so let's change this one to BG1, and all of these are coming from Bootstrap, you remember? And then let's say BG info, and then let's say this one is BG success. So you can see that now. So we have we have our screens actually divided across our divs divided across the screen, and they're having equal sizes. So that's what you get by using the Bootstrap row classes. So you see, when we don't use the row class, you can see everything just falls down to the next line. So you can see we have a display of flex here, and if you inspect the row class, you can see we have a display of flex on the row class. So this is already specified with Bootstrap. So you can see when I comment out the flex and property, it goes out. So you can see all of this stuff. So it's working fine, right? So you always don't want to do this. So what you want to do is in Bootstrap is you want to be able to specify what is the size of each column. But remember, before you have columns, you have to have a row parent class. And the row parent class works, most likely in most cases will be inside a container class. But here you want to specify the size of each column. So you could say column, 1, and this column is going to be, you know, as wide as, because there are different dimensions. In Bootstrap, you can have up to 12 columns in a row. Does that make sense? That is, this column 1, you can have 12 of it in a particular row. So let's do column 1 again.
Sorry, sir.
Thank you. And let's do column 1 again, and let's do column 1. Let's also do column 1. So this column 1, we can have up to 6, up to 12. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can see now that there's a specific size when you set column 1, and it has a fixed size of, depending on your screen size, 8.333%. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So you can see that now that it keeps sizing it down even when we shrink down our screen size. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes, sir.
So that's for column 1. So we could also, it doesn't have to be column 1. So let's create a new div now under this one, and let's say this one will be column 6. It doesn't have to be 1. So that's going to take the rest of the screen. So let's give this one a BG of danger, just to see it. So you can see now this takes in half of the screen, because we should have only 12 columns in Bootstrap. Does that make sense? So we have 6 column 1s, and then the column 6 actually takes half of the screen, because column 6 is equivalent to setting column 1 6 times. Do you get the point?
So if I can get it correct, what you mean is that Bootstrap has the total screen size in Bootstrap is 12.
Yeah, for if you are using Bootstrap rows. And let me just see if I can get that out for
if you are using Bootstrap row and column, abi?
Yes. So there are 12 maximum rows. So let's try and validate that from their documentation.
So we can decide to divide our screen into, is either maybe 6 or 7 5 or 8
exactly.
4.
It has to be equal to 12. It has to be equal
Okay.
to, you could do 3
Alright.
3 3. You could do 3 4 4 4. So
Yes.
yeah, so it's 12. There are other frameworks that don't use this 12 standard. That don't use a standard of 12 columns. I think Mr. Kingsley, I think your mic is making some noise. Okay, so it doesn't have, like other frameworks, use different standards, but for Bootstrap you have 12 columns. For semantic UI you have 16. So whatever you are doing, you have to make sure that it's always equal to 12. So if I can decide to do, and let me just show you this in manner of writing, let me remove many of these. So I can decide to do 3. Are you with me? 3.
Yes, sir.
I can do 3 3 6. So you can see that also works, right? You get the point. We could also do 3 3 3 in 4 places, right? We could do 3 in 4 places. You can see that. Then we could also do 4 in 3 places. So it doesn't matter how you decide to distribute it. You could even do 3 1 3 and then 1 9. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, sir.
So it's still the same. So for this kind of card you have now, this card design that you created, if you wanted to use Bootstrap, you could have just used a row. Then you give that card side, a row column of 3. Then you give the remaining column of 9. Or you could do 7 5, or you could do 4 8. You
8
understand?
4.
Yeah, exactly. So you could do that. So what we are doing now is currently not responsive. And what I mean by that is when we go to a mobile screen, it still tries to put them side by side, which you don't always want to do. You know that on most websites, even when you have 3 items, and let me just I'm trying to find it, and let me just say, okay, let me do the one I know and I'm quite familiar with. So let's go to this. You will see that, and that if I set this to a mobile screen, for example, let's say iPhone 12 Pro, you will see that a lot of things that were side by side we adjust to stack on top of each other, like these guys, for example, this safe, fast and reliable. You see that when we come to the safe, fast and reliable, you see that they are side by side on a big screen, but as you size down, they start to come on top of each other. Does that make sense?
So are you saying that for this one now, it was Bootstrap that it was used to build it, Abby.
Yeah, there's only one way to find out. When we inspect, you will actually see if it is Bootstrap. So let's say we inspect somewhere like this, for example. So you can see we
Okay,
have
yes,
column.
Bootstrap.
So when you see the class
Yes.
names, you can easily tell which CSS framework was used. So you can see container, and they are also custom styling, of course. You get. So, but you can see that
Yeah.
we have column, and you can see that here we have column SM3, column SM3, column SM. Can you see that? So that's
Yes, sir.
exactly the trick. When you need to make your layout responsive, in other words, when you are on a mobile screen, you want it to display differently compared to when you are on the desktop screen. So instead of just doing column 3, you need to add the breakpoints. I remember we saw some breakpoints during the last class. We saw what's it called, we saw MD, we saw SM, we saw XS. So these are all sizing conventions in Bootstrap. We saw LG. You get that? So you see how we
Yes,
use
sir.
that now. So when I say column MD, so what this will do, you can see they are now on top of each other. Can you see that? Can you see
Yes,
down there?
sir.
So once I
Yes,
added
sir.
column MD3, and what that means is that only on medium screen sizes, that is tablets and above, will it add that particular rule set. Does that make sense? So
Yes,
that
sir.
means if I do column MD3, that means on medium screen sizes like tabs and
Yes, sir.
so on, when I expand it, you will see that they will come side by side after a particular breakpoint. So let me change this back to responsive. So you see they come side by side, but when it gets to a particular breakpoint, that is 7 around 780, 750 something ish, 760 something ish, 769. You see it jumps down to the next line. So but if I remove this MD, it doesn't do that, because that means there's no breakpoint. It will always retain this this layout. So this is, can you see that? Of course, you know that there's no device in the world that is as small as 63 pixels. So it actually does this because there's no way. So your small Android device, or your iPhone or your Android phone, should be around 300 and something. So when I set it to iPhone 12 Pro, you can see that's 390. Can you see that? So that's the width of your mobile phone. So that means on your mobile phone it will still try to render side by side, but certain things are better displayed on smaller screens if you stack them on top of each other, not side by side, because there won't be enough room for them side by side. Does that make sense? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm following.
Yeah, so that's why we use breakpoints. And let me just show you Bootstrap breakpoint. So let's see the breakpoint. So you can see for small screens that is less than 576 pixels, use SM. Can you see the breakpoint? Extra small.
So if I can get it correctly now, so can use this instead of applying normal media query, you can
Exactly.
use this.
Yeah, to set certain things. Though that this doesn't substitute when you have to do some custom media query based on what you want to do, that Bootstrap does not make provision from. Does that make sense? Sorry. Sorry. So but Bootstrap, like I said when we are starting out, that it was built with a mobile first approach. That is, mobile. It was built for mobile screen first of all, before desktop. So that means whatever styles or whatever you are applying in Bootstrap, will work very well on mobile naturally, as long as you use the appropriate breakpoints. So if you don't use any breakpoints, that is the style is going to apply on small screen. So you can see that on extra small screen sizes, you don't need to apply anything. Can you see that? Whatever
Yes,
you
sir.
like, this column 3 now, on the extra small screen sizes, that is what it is going to try to apply. You
Mommy,
get it?
mommy,
So
don't
that
make a line up.
so that's what we mean when we say mobile first approach.
Okay,
You guys get that?
okay. So
Hello?
sorry, oh.
It's fine. So you can see that. So when we say mobile first approach, it's talking about everything below 576 pixels. And I need you guys to pay attention here. Anything less than 576 pixels is referred to as extra small device. So 576 pixels is from here. So it's from here. I can actually type it in instead of suffering myself as such. So 570, this is 576 pixels. Can you see that? So that means if I do let's say I do what's it called, BGS, sorry. So when we do sorry, let's do
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? The service is kind of breaking.
the service is breaking.
I don't know if it's yours or mine. I don't know.
This is
Because I think my service is okay. Your way just sometimes
What
I
is
can
don't
you hear
the
just
me
hear
now?
network
you.
for Mr. Keso? I can hear him perfectly.
Okay.
Okay, but you guys can see it now. So the breakpoint for extra small screen size is 576 pixels. Then anything greater than 576 pixels but less than 768 is referred to as medium. I'm sorry, small. So from 768 to 992 is referred to as medium. Then large is from 992 to 1200. Extra large is 1200 to 1004. Then extra large is 1400 and above. Does that make sense? So this includes your TV and so on. Is that okay, guys? So know that we have SM, MD, LG, XL, XXL. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
But when you don't apply any breakpoints, it's going to apply it even to the smallest screen size. So like I told you, Bootstrap was built with a mobile first approach. That is, if you don't specify breakpoints, it is going to target smaller screens first of all. Does that make sense? So that's why when we don't set any breakpoint. And what are the breakpoints? Can you give me an example of a breakpoint by Bootstrap classes? One example.
MD,
Exactly. MD for medium size, medium screen. Then SM for
SL,
small
SG.
screen. Then X extra small. Some people refer to that as XS, but Bootstrap doesn't use that. I think in the previous versions of Bootstrap they used that, but I don't think they use it again. Let's check version 4. I think they used XS. Maybe. Let me just check. Let me check. I just want to be sure. Because you have to be, that there have been various versions of Bootstrap before. So this is not the only version that there is. This is version 5 we are talking about. So let's just go back to our version 5. So just know we have SM, MD, LG, XL, XXL. Does that make sense? And these are all the pixel value. Okay, you can see XS here, right? Can you see it? So XS is from 0 to 576. Can you see that? So we have XS, XSM, MD, LG, XL, and XXL. So here, if we don't specify anything, automatically you should know that that's for small screen sizes. So below 576, right? Pixels.
Yes, sir.
So let's spell pixels. So that's for without specifying anything, but you could also do column. I believe XS, right? Then this one SM. So we say between 576 and what 768 pixels, not pixels. Does that make sense? Then what's the next one? MD is between 768 to what 992. Then we have what LG. Sorry, LG is from 992 to 1200, and this should be 991 actually, not 992, and this should be 767. Not, you get the point. Then we also have XL. So XL is from what 200, so this should be 19999. 1200 to 1399. That's for XL. Then XSL is from XSL is from 1400 and above. Does that make sense? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So let's see something now. So let's set on smaller screens. Let this one take what's it called? Let it take let's say it takes 12, the entire 12 row on smaller screens. Does that make sense? Then this one on the next category it takes let's say it takes 6. Sorry, 6. Then for this one, so let's try this and see what happens. So you can see what is happening here. So you can see that this one always takes 12. Can you see that? But this one now, at this point, at this break point, what did we say it should take? It takes 6 at the larger break point, but at the smaller break point, you see it also takes 12. But at the bigger one, you can see it begins to take, half of the screen, which is what we specified. Does that make sense? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here now, see what we could do here.
Okay.
So for all of them, we could specify that they should take the entire column on smaller screen sizes, that they should take 12 on smaller screen sizes. And please don't get confused with this. And yeah, let me also paste this on smaller screen sizes. So on bigger screen sizes, we could say they should take column SM6. Does that make sense? On this other category. So when the screen size is between, what's it called, 576 and 577, it should take what, 6 column wide. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So you could specify more than one breakpoint on each element. So let's try this. So you can see that now. Down this size it takes half. Can you see that? They are aligned side by side. When I make it smaller, I can see it becomes 12 column wide. Can you see that? But when it becomes bigger, it takes half of the width. Can you see that? So you can see now that we have a mobile responsive layout without doing so much work. We just added class names and that's it. So let's even take it further and saying, okay, on this larger screen size, let's say the one larger than the tabs, which is this category, from here let it take 3 columns wide. Does that make sense? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So let's say here, or let's add one more breakpoint. Let's say 4. Let's say we want to make it 4 on what's it called, MD. Does that make sense? That is the medium devices like tablets and so on. So once we add that on tablet, it's going to take 4 columns wide. And I hope this is clear enough for everyone and that is not confusing. So you can see now that we have 4 columns wide. Can you see that? Can you see now from 700 and what? MD is what? 700 and from 768 to 992. I think that's MD. So this is XS, this is SM, this is MD, right? So let's now do LG. Does that make sense? Hello.
Don't understand again now.
We are setting different breakpoints. We are saying if the screen size is a very small screen size, each of these elements should take 12 column wide. Does that make sense? That is the entire row to itself. So the entire row means they will not be side by side. They will be on top of each other. If it, remember I said the maximum row columns we have per row is what, 12. Hello.
Okay.
So we are
Yes,
saying
sir.
if it is what, XS, that is extra small screen size, let each element take all of the row to itself. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Then the next category of screen sizes is SM. Can you see that? And SM is between 576 pixels to 767. So we are saying when it is what, the screen size next to extra small screen size, let it be 6 columns wide for each element. And you can see how that plays here. After this, you can see that they will be side by side. Can you see that? Let each element, each one of these take 6 column wide. That is since it is 12 column wide, like per row, so if an element is taking 6, that means it will be 2 elements per row. Does that make sense? Hello.
Sir, please come again.
Okay. How many columns can we have per row, like in total?
So do you mean if
Five
element
columns.
if it have 2 elements with 6, it's going to only take only 2 rows
Yeah,
because
because
it's 12 in total.
yeah, 12 in total. So if we say it's just simple, like divided by mathematics, 12 divided by 3, definitely we know how many will be there. 4. 12 divided by 4, we know 3 elements will make it. So if the maximum column per row is 12, so if I specify 6 on each one of them, that means there will only be a maximum of 2 per row on these screen sizes. So see each one of these things as screen sizes. XS, just like if you are buying clothes, if they say XS, that means it's extra small, right? SM means small. MD is medium. Then LG is what? Large. XL is extra large. XXL is extra large, right? So all of these are just different screen sizes, but they call them breakpoints when you are dealing with CSS frameworks or CSS in general media queries. So this specifies represent different breakpoints. So this breakpoint is what? Devices below 576 pixels. Does that make sense? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So we keep having different ones. So we are saying that if it is medium screen sizes, how many elements do we want per row? 3 elements, because each element will be taking 4 columns. And if there are 12 columns in total, if one element takes 4, how many elements can we have per row? We can only have 12 divided by 4, right? Which is 3.
Yes.
So in medium screen sizes are elements between screen sizes between 768 pixels and 991 pixels. So let us see 768 pixels and see how many elements. So you can see when we get to 768, you can see it jumps to what? 3 elements per row. Can you see that?
Yes.
Because that's what we specified here. 4 columns wide. That is 3 elements per, a row of 12, columns. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kingsley, does it make sense for you too?
No, I'm just trying to get this last one.
Okay, this last
Okay,
one. But you understand what I mean by there are 12 columns in total.
Yes.
So know that this is the base class for columns. This col, right, is the base class for column. The next this thing by after the first hyphen is what? The screen size. Then the next
Yes,
one is the width of the column. So the total width of every bootstrap row is 12 columns. So if you say one element will have 4 column width, what does that mean? That means you can only have 4 column that element with 4 column width, you can only have 3 of it per row, because you cannot have more than 12, and 4 times 3 is 12. Does that make sense? So that means for medium screen sizes you can only have what? 3 of this type of elements that have 4 columns wide. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's what we are doing here. So when it gets to that breakpoint of medium MD, this breakpoint now is MD 668, right, and above. So you can see that we now have 4 columns. And if I inspect it here, can you see it? You see that we have what? Column MD4. Can you see that? So we have each one of them having 4 columns. If I click on it, you will see that 4 columns. So I can see the breakpoint is set here, 768. So if I also increase it further, you see that will change. Sorry, when I reduce it rather, you can see that if I click on each one of them, you can see that then it just goes to the default, which is the 12 column wide, right? So it takes the entire column to itself. So but when I increase it like this, it becomes 6. So you can see column SM6. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
So we are just setting breakpoint. So the next one we want to do now is LG. So let's do column LG, which is for large screens. LG, and let's say column LG3, right? So that means if we do column LG3, how many elements will we have per row? Hello, how many? 12 divided by 3.
We should be having
12
we should be having 4.
Yes, exactly. So when we do
Yes.
this, 12 divided by 3. So let's do this. And let's do this. Don't worry, you understand it. By the time we start doing real project, you get how it works. So we have this now. So on smaller screen, remember we have 12, right? On the small screen side, we have 6, which is 2 elements per row. Then on the next category, we have 3. Then on the next
3.
one, we now have 4. That's after 992. And watch this place. Once it passes 992, we'll have 4 elements. Can you see that? Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes.
Bootstrap automatically
Yes, sir.
wraps them, so that if you don't have enough, it will just, it will wrap it up to the amount that you need or that is available. Then it will leave the remaining blank. Does that make sense? And then let me just
Yes,
remove
sir.
this one. It's making things odd. So that's how it works in total. So I could also decide, okay, which is what we've already done. So you can see they don't always have to be equal. You could make this one 3, you could make this one 6, you could make this one 9, just like that. You get the point. And Bootstrap will arrange them and as it sees fit. So if I say I want this one to be 12, you will see what will happen now. Can you see that it takes 12 to itself? Eh? This one takes 12 to
Yes,
itself.
sir.
It cannot be on the same line with this one because it needs 12. It needs to come to a new line and take the entire row. But this one doesn't have anything to stay with it because just like when we're doing grid, right? So it came to the next line. So that's how it works. When you are trying to do things like putting elements side by side, you could easily use Bootstrap rows and columns. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for that assignment that you have, let me just go to front end mentors and let me just pick any of your assignments and bring it to bear. I'm trying to just show you how to apply that in an actual sense. So let's say we have this now, which is what you did before. So here now, if you are going to be using Bootstrap classes to divide your screen here, you know what to do. And let me just go to front end mentors to get the actual image. So let me just go there and get the actual image. So which is this one? So you can see that here, if you will use Bootstrap to divide this part from this part, what kind of column size do you think we will need? I think this will be what? Like what dimension?
7.5
7.5.
or 8.4.
Because it looks like a 2/3, right? So
Yes.
it can be 8.4. Yes, 8.4 feels more accurate to me. So let's see what that looks like if we try to create a div. So let's do div what? Div. So most time you want to do div column md what? 4. So let's say h1 and and then we'll do the other one, say div dot column md8, right? Oh,
You say that we're not going to add column because it's
yeah,
not effective.
yeah, that's it. I actually didn't do that correctly. So I think for it is a little bit too much. So I think you could do 3.9. I think 3.9 is more like it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So 3.9 is more. And you can see when it becomes smaller, they just go on top of each other automatically. So it only comes side by side, when the screen is large. So when it's not, it comes on top of each other, which is the behavior you would want, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's just I'm not going to be dividing and designing the form for you. I just want to show you how that works. Let me do inline style. Sorry. So let's do background. And let me still use the Bootstrap background class. So let's do BG danger just to see how that is. So you can see that works fine. And then we also have the height classes. So let's do H100. No. So let's do for body class. What's that? So let me do this and see if let me see that. Okay, I'm already using the role class. So and then when you are using Bootstrap, it actually takes away a lot of power from you. Most of the things you would enjoy by default, you might not be able to enjoy them again.
So we'll not be able to manipulate some like
No, you can still, just that
styling.
you can, just that some of the things that you would do like by default when you were not using Bootstrap, that maybe you could just easily get away with, you might need to do some additional tweaking to be able to do those things. So
Okay.
yeah. So this is where you might want to use your custom styling to actually set all of this. So just to make it 100 VH, the height is 100%. So we're not doing 100%. So let me just do let's just put a custom styling in the top of the page, or at the top of the page. So let's say style. So let's say body. So that's that for the body. And then let's say body HTML, because so I think that's okay now. So you can actually see that now. So let me get rid of this here. So just make sure whatever you're doing, don't allow your classes to clash with the Bootstrap class. So do what you're doing accordingly. So the left side, so for that other stuff you have to do, so we can just do div dot you could do div dot, let's say, top card, like I did before. And I'm not supposed to be showing you all of this stuff again. So we could just do h3 top card, and then we do this one as bottom card. So for the top card, you could just just what you've done before. And Bootstrap rows used to have columns come with default, what's it called, default
Margin.
yeah, and padding. So you might need to get rid of that. So for this one now, so we could just do
So you said Bootstrap automatically comes with margin. Sorry.
eh
You said Bootstrap something normally comes with margin.
yes, Bootstrap
I'm asking.
Bootstrap rows normally come with default padding on the side. So
Okay. So I want to ask you something. Just as the way you actually gave you gave what are they calling it? The body 100 VH, right? Then the left hand side, is it background? I'm sorry, I'm trying to see it. That is red. What we actually use there is an image. Will that image also take the parent value?
As in, I don't understand what you mean.
Okay, because when I imported my own image that is at the left, I have to still give it 100 VH, height of 100 VH.
No, you don't. You mean this background?
Yes.
For this type, you could just use the background image. Now, where is that stuff? This is it now. So let's just say you could say, what's the name of that div self? Okay, it is the left side, right? So this one. So you could
Yes.
instead of doing BG danger, you could just do BG custom. So let's just say we have BG custom. So let's say we have dot BG custom, and then we'll do background. So let's say we have this now. So you can see we don't need to do anything extra, so it just works like that. Does that make sense?
Okay, sir.
So instead of I used Bootstrap background before, I just added a custom style and I added that background to it. So you can see for these guys now, so I could just use a negative margin. So I could say, okay, for the top card, so let's say we have dot top card, I could say margin right, and I could give it a negative margin of, let's say, 200 pixels, right? So which is here. So this element now will come outside of here a little bit. So in order for you to see that, let me just give it what's it called, margin left 200 pixel minus 200. So let me give it a text align of right. So you can see it has come outside of here. So if I give it a background color of red, you will see what happens now. So you can see that. So I could give it a margin right, margin left, no, minus 200. Let's say margin left of 200. So offset properly, so you can see that now. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So you could easily use this to, let's say, bottom card now. Are you guys, is everyone seeing what I'm doing? Triumph, I haven't heard your voice. Triumph,
So
are you getting it?
I'm not.
Eh?
I'm battling with my network. I've tried to send a message to tell you I'm not exactly following. I just hope
So you
there's a
can
way
see
through. I
this
don't even
one.
know if you even hear me right now.
Okay, sorry.
But
Okay, you can watch. So you can see how I did this now. You can see that's pretty much easy, right? So we have this column 3 now. So what we could do is we could even do this. There's a class of dflex in Bootstrap. We can now do just we could do flex column, that is to set flex direction to column. Can you see that? Then we could now do justify content center. We could do justify, which is a Bootstrap class as well. So you can see that. So here I could just set a margin bottom here. So I'm just showing you the rough idea on how you could do all of these stuff that we did before. 50 pixels. So you can see that. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So this is what you could have used to do whatever it is you wanted to. So this is how you could easily achieve that in Bootstrap. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So I would not want to go. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. So here I wanted us to do something like build something together today, and this is what I wanted us to build. I just want us to build something similar to this using Bootstrap. So which is this? I haven't taken a look at it per se, but I think we can actually do that. I don't know how long it's going to take, but let's just try. So just this is the page from here down. But you guys can do this with HTML and CSS now.
Yes, sir.
Nice. So we have this. So I'm trying to see. Okay, so just the text. So you can see these are all Bootstrap classes. Can you see that? You can see we have text primary. Can you see text primary? So these are all Bootstrap classes. They are all Bootstrap classes actually. These are all Bootstrap stuffs. So with Bootstrap we can actually design this stuff. So of course we need to source for these images and so on, but let's just get started. So the first thing we need to do, let me just get rid of all of these stuffs. Does that make sense? So let's see how far we can go before we end it tonight. So we'll do all of these stuffs and then let's see how it goes. So the first thing we need definitely while we are writing our code is we first need to what? Import the Bootstrap nav component, right? You know Bootstrap has a navbar component. I showed you the other day, right? Hello.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
You remember that I showed you the nav component the other day?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what's happening to this network today. Okay. So under component, we can easily find it. So it says there are base classes and so on. So, but what we are looking for today is nothing other than navigation bar. So we have forms here. So we have nav bar here under component. So this is the Bootstrap nav bar. So what we just need to do is we can just copy this entire thing, right? Can copy this entire thing, which is this is the main nav component. So we can come to our project and just paste it, and it's a semantic tag they used. So you can see we have the nav tag. So let me paste it and save so that Preach here can format it. So we have this now, right? So we want to make it similar to what they have here. Let me close this. What they have here. So you can see here they actually have a container class around everything. Does that make sense? So let's give
Yes,
our
sir.
body a container class, and the container class is what pushes your page to the center and gives it this nice margin on the left and right. So you can see we have that now, right? Hello, are you guys
Yes,
with me?
sir.
So we can see that there's this highlight on our nav which is unlike what they have here. Like here they don't have any background on their nav bar. So there's a Bootstrap class that actually gives the nav bar that kind of background. So you want to look at it. So that's the BG light. So if you remove it, that you can see that that background goes out. So the class name responsible for it is this BG light. So we don't want to add that BG light class. Let me just get rid of it. Does that make sense? So yeah, you can actually customize it as much as you want. So you see that all of these stuffs are working now. So but we want it to look like this. So let me just get this text and let's see where we put that in. So we have inside of this navbar we just need to paste that in. So we have pro. So when we come back you can see and that's what we have now. So the next thing we have is all of our all of our stuffs are on this to this side, right? They are to the right hand side, not the way it's looking here. So we will have to remove all of this stuff, then put all of our links on the right hand side, just like the way they have it here. Does that make sense?
Sir, please. Sir, please, my service is actually terrible. I can barely hear you say anything.
Here we are recording.
Hello, sir.
But can you hear me now?
Okay.
Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. Most times, just that service just goes off and hardly hear or see most things come blow.
Sorry about that. Okay. So you can see I pushed everything to this right hand side just by changing this class name. Where's that? This class name because these are the links. Can you see that these are the links? Hello. Are you guys with me? So So it was ME Auto. ME Auto stands for
Yes,
like,
sir.
is the equivalent of when you have ME Auto. Is the equivalent of having let me open the links. So you have the links here. ME Auto is the equivalent of having a margin right auto. Can you see that? So from margin right auto pushes it, to the other extreme, to the left, while margin left auto will push it to the extreme right. So if we change this to margin left, so you can see it pushes to the other side. So instead of ME auto, the class that pushes that applies margin left auto is MS auto in Bootstrap 5. So that's how we push it to this other side. So we don't need this input field, right? It's not necessary. So let me just get rid of that. So that's this form element here. So let's just remove it. So you can see we've taken that out. So all we need is home landing pages documentation, right? And just before I throw the form away, I think we need this button. So let me keep that outside the form, and then let me keep every other thing. So all we need is what? Home landings pages documentation. So we have home, landing, pages. Then we need one more link, right? Documentation. So this is how you actually use Bootstrap components. So you can see we have it now. So I think I need to remove this drop down. We don't actually need it. So where's that? Okay, this is it. Okay, let me change this to pages, since you'll be needing that drop down in the future. So let me just remove this one, so you can see this. So we have this as well. So it doesn't look quite like that, but let's just let's try and format it further. So but we already have a nav, and you can see we wrote very little code. We just modified a couple of other things. So we have a color here. So for here, let's try and use let's try and use Bootstrap classes so to add color to the button. So let's do BG primary, I suppose. So I'm going to do PG primary. So we have that blue background. So we have so we have something like that now, right? Hello. Hello. Are you guys with me? Hello.
The network was breaking for a while. I could barely catch up.
Wow. So what about now? Is it better?
Yes.
Okay. So we have this now. So let's just add some padding to this navigation bar. So Bootstrap has this padding class that we can use. So we could add some padding now. So we could do padding 25 pixels, and we could do 0 on left and right. So that will bring it down a little bit, similar to what we have here. So instead of doing that padding 25, so we could go to our nav bar. Wow. What's wrong with the network then? Hello, Kind? Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Wow. I think the network has started again. So I said we need to add some padding to our navbar, right? So I said instead of adding the padding like I added here, like raw padding, so we have padding classes in Bootstrap. So we want to add padding to the top, not to the left and right, because if you add to the left and right, it might distort it from being aligned to these other ones that are inside the same container class. Does that make sense? So we want to add the padding to the top and bottom alone. Does that make sense? So how we can do that is we could do py, which is padding along the y-axis. So we could do py3. So what I would do is it's going to add this nice padding along the horizontal axis. So let's see how that works. So you can see py3 added padding top 1 rem, padding bottom 1 rem. So we could do py4, py5, we could do py1. Let's do py5 and see how that looks. So you can see how that that's too much. So let's return it to py3. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, sir, we are following.
And you can see that for the p classes too, we also have breakpoints if you noticed. So you can see we have py lg, py md, sm, xl. You can see that. So you could add breakpoint to the padding classes so that on smaller screens you might want to add smaller paddings on a particular element due to availability of space. So we have all of this now. So looks similar to this now, though we've not touched the font and so on of the navbar. So for the navbar, I just want to make sure most of the things we do solely with Bootstrap, just to get you guys conversant with it. So let's do text bold. Sorry, I think we have bold Bootstrap bold class for text. So let me try and check that. Let me see if text bold works, but I'm not sure if that will work. That won't work. So let's say utility class for text. So we need to I think we checked it the last time during the last class. So let's just check what the utility class for making a text bold is. So word break, transform, font size, font weight. So we have font weight, we have FW. Okay, it's not text, so we have FW. So you can see how I checked it, and so you can see now it's similar to what we have here, right? But just that we need to get this color. So for that color, I want to minimize the number of custom CSS we write. So to get this color, I think we need to do text primary. So we've done font weight bold, FW bold. So let's do text BG primary. Let's see how
BG primary.
no, not BG. So we want to do text primary because BG is for background. So you can see it now.
Yeah.
So is it making sense for you guys now?
Yes, sir.
So we also have font and we have font sizes too. So we could do FS1, FS2 up to FS6. So just to manipulate the font size. So we could say FS5, and let's see how that is. So let's do FS4. No. Is that FS4? So let's do FS3. Hold on, is it becoming bigger or smaller? Oh, like it's like the lower I go, the bigger it becomes. Okay, so I think we need to do 5. 5 looks better. Yeah, I think this looks better, right? So for the padding on the nav, I think we need to make this a padding of 4 to make it, okay. Hello guys, are you with me? So let's see the kind of font, size they used here. So font weight,
Yes, sir.
font weight 500, and then nav light. So we have font weight of 500 here for each of these links. So this documentation, they have a disabled class on it. We don't need to have disabled on it. So we have this. So let's remove the active class for this. That's what's making that one black. So let it come to the same level as the others. So for this button, let's just add a margin left to it. So let's say margin left is supposed to be ms from what we did before. So okay, no, maybe that's not one. So let's do ms3 just to add that spacing to it. Or maybe 6. So no, 6. Oh, then okay, I think that's okay. So I think we need to reduce the font size of these guys as well. So let's just see. I'm trying to make sure everything is solely Bootstrap. Does that make sense? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So trying to make sure everything is solely Bootstrap. So we have this now. So and then we also need to go as fast as possible. So let's come down here. And so the next thing, let's try and get this image from Android. So I will just copy the image address. There's no time. So I will get this. So how do you think we can have these two things side by side? Can you guys still recall?
So please come again.
How can we have this guy and this guy side by side to build this hero section?
The column we have is 6.
Yeah, we need a
Into
row class,
2.
right? Like a row component. So let me collapse the nav component. So we can always come back to tweak that later. So let's say this is our hero section. So we'll have section dot row, right? And our div column md. What's that? I think we need to have a 5 and 7.
Is it because of the image or the text?
Okay, I think the image even has more space, right? From what I can see.
Okay.
So I think it's 7 and 5 as against 5 and 7. So let's see how that goes. Div dot column md5.
I think it's 5 and 7. It's not left and right.
I mean, like from what I can notice, like I think the left side is bigger than the right hand side. I'm not sure. Maybe they're even equal, but I think this side
I
is
think they
bigger.
are equal actually.
When we put it in the images, we will know.
Okay.
So no. So let's copy the image first of all. Copy image address. Okay. Sorry. So let's do 6. So you can see that. So let's get this guy as well. So put an h1, then a paragraph under it. So say div dot hero lead, and I don't want to add custom classes actually. So let's just do h1 for now, and let's put this inside. Then let's have a paragraph under it too, and then put the other text, which is this one. So that's so for the two buttons.
We have 2 buttons.
Huh?
So we have 2 buttons.
Yeah. So let's just wrap these two guys in a div so that we can be able to style them with the button in view. So let's create another div for the buttons. So we have the second button, view demo and documentation, right? So we have these two. So we still need to polish it based on Bootstrap. But let's. So for these two divs, I think we need to put them inside another, parent div. No, not these ones. The column 6, the one on the text side, so that we can be able to give them a display of flex and shift them to the middle. Does that make sense? Hello.
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay. The flex. So they will come side by side, but that's not what we want. So we'll do flex column. So we'll do justify content center. So let's do
So I think that documentation is not BTM primary as well.
yeah, no, it won't be. Definitely.
Mhm.
Okay. So we need to do this and do likewise for the image as well. Okay. Okay. So instead of doing this, since the number is already taken, so let's do 90. And then for here as well, let's do 90 while putting the number into consideration. So I think that's pretty much like it, right? So for this one, we need to just get the color they are using. So I think that's a custom style, not a. So they are using their own colors. So you can see that
I think it's the same primary, but they
they
increased
are
the
using a
opacity.
custom. They use a custom style for that one. The opacity is still one. So this is the background they used. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think they use BTN primary soft. I think that's what they used. Wow. So that doesn't. I don't think that's an actual Bootstrap class though. Do you get? So can you see that they use BTN primary soft. So I don't think I think that's a custom style they used. Doesn't look like what's coming from BTM. But let me copy the way it is and paste it. That's what we have here now, right? A BTN primary soft, but it doesn't work. That means it's a custom style. Hello? My battery, my phone battery went off. Can you hear me with your own phone hotspot, please? Oh. It's in the room, I have to remove it. Yeah, sorry guys. My network was actually very bad. I was using my hotspot. My phone went off. Hello.
Okay, sir.
That's very sad. That's, don't know why these networks are so unreliable lately. Okay, but you understand what we did so far, right?
Yes, sir.
Triumph, what about you? Okay. So you can see that for this one, they actually have a modified class. So they have this BTN primary soft. So we just have to copy this and apply the same class name. Does that make sense? So that's what they did there. That's how they were able to get that. So I already added the class name. So we just need to let's just add our own minimalistic stuff here. Sorry. Oh, we have this formal stuff here. So let's just get rid of it. So you can see we have it now. So let's say we have text. So text primary. So you can see that's more like it. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So they have this for the hover state as well. So I think we need to implement that as well. So it looks exactly like that. So is that working well? Let's add the important flag. So it works out just the same. Okay, I think let's just look for a deeper color of blue to use as against this. You know that I was going to apply that to the text. So let's apply it to the text, not to the okay. I think that's more like it. So we just need to add a margin to the left of the documentation button, so we can add an ms let's say 4. So that's just give a space to the left of it. Okay, I think that's too much, so let's do ms ms is margin left, by the way. Does that make sense, everyone? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm just showing you basically how you could use Bootstrap. So for this div that we use to wrap this our top section, which is basically the header, so we could just add what's it called, we could add a margin bottom mb let's say mb4. So that should add the margin bottom here. If it is, as a matter of fact, let me not add it here. Let me just add it to this padding class. Let's say mb. No, this is not what we need it, because we need it between the button and this. So let's just add a class between this stuff. So let's add empty, which is margin top. So you can see there's more space here now. Can you see that? When we do empty 0, you see there will be no space. So the empty 4 added the space we needed. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can see now that we've been able to do a lot of things faster just using Bootstrap without writing so much CSS. Do you get? Hello. So the next thing we need to do is just to append this wave. So I think we get waves.io. That's the site for generating this kind of stuffs. So we just need to generate a wave for
그렇다고 말을 했어야지. 딸이 다음 주에 미국 가는데 엄마인 내가 왜 몰라야 돼? 당신 나를 마누라로 생각하긴 하는 거야? 갑자기 급하게 나온 얘기가.
Yeah, I think this is it. No,
this one.
no, you did the one before now. Maybe we should look at the page again to confirm.
It's actually something like that, but it's the other way around. Something like this. It's something like that. Just not very curved, just slightly curved. I think this is it, right? Is this it?
Sir, if you should apply the SVG, is it going to show the other way around, or is just going to have a straight line as well, like that?
Like this? It's going to show the other way around.
Is it going to rotate?
Yes, I already rotated it.
Okay, yes. I think it's the rotated version.
So it should be around here. So as you can see now here that we might need to get rid of what's it called, container class from body, and then apply it elsewhere, because we have to use a different logic to apply it.
Because it's applying default margin and padding.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, to everything. So we might need to kind of wrap every single thing inside of a div that
up in a div so that we can give the div container, not the body.
Yes.
So that means you now have to add its own margin and padding to it.
As in now?
Since we have removed this thing from the body. Okay.
What are you saying?
I was thinking that since you remove the container class from the body, that the default margin and padding will remove from the nav, but I can see that we've already added it to the.
Yes.
We wrap everything around the div.
Yeah. So you can see now that it's still the same behavior. So now our waves now spans across the entire screen. Do you get? So that's what we are looking to achieve.
Listen.
So for the color, we want FFF. Sorry. So that's what we are looking to achieve. So on the next section is where we now get to see the behavior of what we are trying to do. So we can have h3, we can have p, and then put this inside of it. It's almost 9 o'clock. That internet took a lot of the time. So we have this now. So what we just need to do here. So Bootstrap has a text center class. So we could just do text center. And I hope you are getting familiar with the classes while we are doing all of this. I could have even done this, just change this to white here. So let me do CCC just to be sure what we are doing. So it looks more like that, right? So all I need to do is just to I think what we need to do here is for the container class of this what's it called, the hero section. Do you get? So what we need to do is we need to add a BG light here, I suppose. Okay, not so much. So because if you look at the flow, we actually have what's it called, this side is white, the hero section is white, then the rest of the body is not white. We have this section down to this section having this different color. So that's what we want to apply now. So let's just for this particular section, I think we will not use we won't be using a container like just out of the box like that, so that we'll be able to put this background color there. Does that make sense?
Sir, but if we did not use container, from this image I'm seeing down here, are we still going to be able to divide the what's it called, this image, this box image? Can we still give it the row and color? Because
yeah, sure,
we will not be able to.
we will use a container, but how we are going to use it is such that we want to make sure that the base element itself, is having a background. So let's just see what we'll do about that. So let's just say BG light, for example.
Okay.
So let's do BG light. So you can see that it doesn't span across. Can you see that? So which is a problem because of the container. That's why it doesn't span across. So in order for it to be able to span across, that is the background color to be applied to that entire section. We have to apply the background color to an outer, element that is not this container. Does that make sense? So let's say this something like this now. Then we'll move this one. When we move this inside of that, you see that it's applied.
You're not moving inside the div.
Yes, it now applies. Can you see now that it goes across? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so one other thing we could do instead of doing it, because it's not advisable to have your container class. Your container class has to be next to your body. So one other thing we could do here is to add the BG light class itself to the body. So for this so for the body we added BG light, so I don't think it's taking effect. So let's say background. So let's see. Okay, so you can see that now. So for this guy, what was that, the SVG? So let's change that back to white, so our wave should come just fine. So we see that there's a little space here, so I think that's going to be courtesy of a margin or something that has been applied somewhere in between here. Does that make sense? So we have to inspect that and make sure we get rid of it. So let me take this to the right side and let's see where this gap is coming from. Hello? Triumph, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting it? Hello? Is it clear?
We have to watch the review over again.
It's not clear.
Because right now I'm still struggling to keep my eyes open.
Okay, maybe we should just end it now. So let's end it here, right? Is that what you mean? Okay, let's end it here then. I think that's what we need to do now, so that you guys can continue from there on Friday. I think getting is also of the call. I'm sure that's courtesy of our network. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. So good night. But is everything clear? Like you've been able to get some of the things we've discussed? Hello?
Sorry,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
my
Thank you very
network
much.
went off.
Yeah, I thought so too. So what we did here is I think we just need to apply a negative margin here on top of this particular, what's it called, the class that holds the SVG. So we could just do style and then do margin top. So we could do minus 20 pixels. So that should take care of that for us. Does that make sense? So we are also having this background color here, which we could easily get rid of by just setting the background color of this guy to white, because I think at the moment it looks like as though it is just one transparent color. So it's that. So what we just need to do here is we just need to clean this up a little bit more. So I think we'll continue that on Friday. So but you can see it's gradually coming together. I'm just trying to write as minimal CSS as possible. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But you've learned something from this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's continue on Friday. We'll continue from where we stopped.
Okay, sir. All right. Thank you, sir. Good
Okay.
night.
Yeah, good night.